Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode from our podcast Land Talks, brought to you by the G20 Global Land Initiative. Today, we have Daniel Pacurar. Welcome, Daniel, to our podcast.
Thank you.
Would you please give us an introduction about yourself?
So I am the founder and the CEO of Boreal Orchards. We are an ecotech company located in the north of Sweden, and we work with ecological and nature restoration, particularly in using native mosses to restore areas that have been disturbed by human activities, by extreme weather events, or by climate change, like desertification.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about the eco-innovation with moss. So, Boreal Orchard is pioneering eco-innovation with native moss species. Can you explain why moss is such a powerful tool for nature restoration and how it accelerates the restoration process in distributed or degraded areas?
So mosses have been around for a long time. They are the first plants that colonized our planet for 500 million years ago. And in that process of being the first that colonized the land, they have built the atmosphere of this planet. So everything that we have today on this planet is due to them. And since at that time, evolving from algae, this planet was Mars-like. They, in that process, have basically terraformed. So the ecological restoration or building up ecosystem is what these plants have been doing for hundreds of million years. And there is a reason why they are still around. They are indestructible. They have seen ice ages, they have seen mass exterminations, and they are still around. They are colonizing all land ecosystems, from deserts to the poles, from sea level to the top of the mountain, and they are still doing the heavy work in ecosystem building and restoration, but we don't see them because trees takes all the spotlight.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for this explanation. Let's talk a little bit about scaling restoration in suboptimal environments. Your company develops solutions for plant cultivation in suboptimal environments. What unique challenges have you faced in these efforts? And how have your innovations addressed them effectively?
The first challenge, I would say, is changing people perception with mosses. In many parts of the world, mosses are seen as pests. You don't want moss in your lawn, you don't want moss in your driveway. And this is the first, I would say, barrier when I start talking about moss, because but I don't want them. Not many people know what I already told you, that they are still the ones that are building soils around the planet, capturing most of the CO2. Specifically when it comes to restoring degraded lands in very challenging environments, they are the only ones that can do that. I mean, not many plants can grow on concrete or rocks or without water or without fertile soil, but mostly this is what they do. They are the pioneers, and based on their heavy work, other plants can then move in and colonize. So what we did in the past few years, we are taking this 100 million years nature-based solution that was tested again and again and again, and we are bringing this to the market. So we have found a way to use know-how and technology to be able to cultivate these native mosses wherever they are located and produce what we call a moss primer. So this is like a green smoothie. It looks like a green smoothie. So we have this moss cultivated in our labs, in our production facilities to scale, and then we use this moss primer or green smoothie to spray it by a technology that is already a standard in the industry that is called hydroseeding over large areas. And in this way, we can just in a matter of months, from collecting the moss to putting them back, we are able to bring this technology at scale and to use it in various areas.
Thank you for sharing this information. It's something totally new for me, and thank you for highlighting the importance of moss. I would never knew about it, but thanks to you. So the applications of your moss technology are vast. from post mining landscapes to desertification reversal. Can you share a success story where your technology made a significant impact on restoring damaged ecosystem?
Working with mosses was in the back of my mind for almost 20 years now, since I was doing my PhD. But I never worked with mosses as a scientist. Only since recent, 2, 3 years back, I revisited this idea and I said now is the time to elevate that initial thought in using mosses for restoration. So Remos has a very new or short history. It's just about 2, 3 years. So in this short period, what we managed to do is to bring on board two sectors very critical for the energy transition and for the economy, and that is mining and large-scale infrastructures. And the first project that we have installed this years are within the mining sector to restore areas that have been disturbed by the mining industry, but also to green large-scale infrastructure projects in the north of Sweden. These projects are fairly new. As I said, is this year we have done our 4 hectares in various locations, and of course there is gonna take some time until we will see
The outcome.
the outcome. But already after a couple of months, we could see that the moss primer is doing its work, and we can see already moss colonies popping out
That's
everywhere
great.
where we have sprayed it.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. So let's talk a little bit about addressing climate adaptation and urban greening. So Boreal Orchards also tackles challenges in climate adaptation and urban greening. How do your solutions integrate with urban environments, and what potential do you see for scaling these efforts globally?
I would invite our listeners, wherever they are, to step outside and just look around. So wherever you are on the planet now, just go outside and see if you find moss. So moss grows everywhere. It grows on the driveway, it grows on your lawn, it grows on your walls, it grows everywhere. And particularly, they like urban environments. There are mosses that grow in urban environments. They like shady places. We often associated them with shady places, but there are also mosses that thrive and prefer full sun. Not many people know that there is a moss or a group of mosses that are called desert moss. And this particular moss can even live in space-like conditions. What other plants on this planet can do that? So with intensified urbanization, where we don't have that much room for planting trees, for having big parks, we need to plant more greeneries and to pack more greeneries in very crowded places. We don't have so much resources in terms of water, maintenance, and energy to support large parks, big trees. Mosses, they don't need that. They don't need fertilizing, they don't need maintenance, they don't need even watering. They collect their food from the dust and from the pollutants in the urban environments, and they collect their humidity from the air.
So they are very low maintenance.
Exactly, there is no maintenance that you
Okay.
need for mosses, and they can go without food. As I said, they collect from the dust and without humidity, even for years, without dying. And whenever the conditions are good again, they will spring back to life. So they just go into a dormant state, and they can do that many times over the day. Even if they look crumble and dead, and you step on them and you say, okay, these plants are dead, give them a drop of water and you see the miracle unfolding. It's like, you won't believe it. You have to see it under the microscope,
Yeah.
how fascinating they behave.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so the future of ecotech and restoration. Let's talk a little bit about this. Where do you see the field of ecotech heading in the next decade? And what are the roles do you envision Boreal Orchards playing in shaping the future of ecosystem restoration?
I think there are a lot of technologies and solutions out there. We have seen a lot of efforts put into planting trees and higher plants as they are known. But I am yet to see a large scale solution that is using lower organisms, as they are called, like mosses, fungi, cyanobacteria. And without taking those into consideration when you restore ecosystem, the success rate is very low. It's not about planting trees and counting them and putting a tag on them and putting sensors on them, but in making those trees stay alive. And this is where we have a problem, because we are tending to build ecosystems roof down. We're starting with trees, and we have already learned that building a house, for instance, roof down doesn't work. Ecosystems are not different. Why are we still building ecosystem with planting trees and not pay attention with building a solid foundation yet? And this is what Remorse is bringing. This is what Boreal Orchards wants to bring on the table. And this is a concept that is beyond just offering a solution. We want to raise awareness. Ecosystems are not working according with our hypothesis. They are working according with natural laws that have been refined over hundreds of millions of years. And this is a solution that actually works. Just go out and look for it. And what we do in Ecotech and what Boreal Orchards is planning to do in the coming years is to raise awareness and convince many partners that in order to have a successful restoration project or urban greening project, you have to look down. You have to look at those lower organisms, not only up at the trees and what we can see and touch. These organisms are really important, and they are supporting other restoration projects. Without them, the success rate of tree planting and greening is going to be very low.
Thank you so much. My final question for you, Dr. Pacurar, is from your experience, what is the universal truth about land restoration? Something you believe will always hold true regardless of the ecosystem or landscape.
Restoring ecosystem is difficult. We don't fully understand it, and we are not ready yet to think at scale in the way nature is thinking. So my approach in addressing this shortcoming is I forget about what I know as a scientist. I forget about my PhD. I forget about my degree. I just pick my boots. I go in the forest or I go on the hills. I go on the side of the road and just pay attention. What really works? How can we help a technology, a nature-based solution, to be at scale? We are not bringing any high tech through what we do. Of course, we have technologies and we have know-how. We are just elevating what nature is already doing. We are nudging nature. We are accelerating what nature does. So in this way, I think, at least in the projects that we are tackling, and most of the restoration projects are in areas that have seen a lot of struggle and a lot of social issues. We are not only addressing ecological restoration, we are addressing social restoration as well. Because if you restore native ecosystems, as we do in the far north of Sweden, where mining sector often interact with reindeer herding, restoring those ecosystems will provide the livelihood and the way of life that this native population have been living for thousands of years. So ecological restoration is one aspect, but if you do restoration properly in the way nature is doing, you are also doing social restoration. And I think this is ultimately what restoration means, to make people's life count and put people in the equation of restoring ecosystem.
Dr. Daniel Pacurar, it was such a great pleasure to have you with us today, and for our audience, please stay tuned for more episodes from our podcast Land Talks, brought to you by the G20 Global Land Initiative. Thank you and goodbye for now.